Hey folks, welcome to the Wealth Transfer with TC. Today I'm just going to be sharing a quick update on Zion Oil and Gas. And after this video, I'm going to share Coach Financial Channel update on Zion Oil. Now first folks, before I get into that, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just sharing information, giving you my thoughts and my opinions on that information. And if you guys like these videos that I make, the support links are down below in the description and also the About section of YouTube, the Patreon, PayPal, and so on. Alright, so we see that Zion Oil closed out at 22 cents. Now, one of the strange things that I noticed is that on Friday, I released this video, Zion Oil Update. And in that video, I shared that if you're buying the stock at 25 cents or 28 cents, that I would probably put my stop loss in at 20 cents. Now, I released this video on Friday afternoon. And I think it was maybe around 12:30 my time, somewhere around there. And I noticed that sometime after that, I saw this big major dump that happened with Zion Oil. And I went to go see how close they actually got to 20 cents. And you can see here, it looks like it's around 14:28 Eastern Standard Time. So a little bit of time after I released the video. But I didn't see anything below 20 cents. It got really close, 0.2001. So you can see it got pretty close to that 20 cent mark, but it looks like, according to the information that I have here, that it didn't quite hit that, right? So even if you had them set in, they shouldn't have kicked off. But I'm going to say this, don't put in your stop losses right now, right? I think maybe you should watch it a lot closer, but I think that they are watching. And if you're an investor who invest in Zion Oil or any other stocks, right? You're watching their news. You're watching the stock. And if you're shorting a stock, you're going to be watching and looking at the videos that are posted on YouTube, what's being said on Stock Twits, what's being said in the Facebook group. And I guarantee that they are in those groups. Because if you were shorting a stock, you would join a group too as well. And just to find out the latest information, just to see, what is being said, because you're strategizing. Just as an investor, you strategize, so do the shorts. So right now, don't put in any stop losses for this time being. So I want to take a look really quick at the short interest and see what's going on today. And they have 5.9 million available shares to short. The short volume ratio was 25.18%, and actually the volume was pretty low today. But I also did share that you're going to be watching these numbers, folks, to see if when a news release is coming, because there should be a news release coming here pretty soon. But you're going to see these you're going to see the short volume drop, because I do believe that there are people who are shorting the stock that have that kind of information, because I've shown you 2 times already when the short volume dropped dramatically. All right, so the last that we heard was on April the 7th. They were eager to complete equipment inspections and run the downhole for the final completion phase. So we know that they are in this last phase of this particular well. Right now we're going on 32 days without an update. And so I do expect that within the next week or two, we should get some kind of update. But also, folks, keep in mind, this is Israel. They have enemies. And maybe it'll be some type of controlled type of release, of the information. And it could go either way. So that's why I say the moment that update comes, you should be prepared, whether it comes during trading hours or even after trading hours. You can plan for the next day. It's a possibility that they could drag out the news. Now, when it comes to a potential short squeeze, I think that if there is news that is positive, it's definitely going to squeeze. And I think even if we don't have news and we do have other investments that take off, that a lot of people will be pouring their money into Zion Oil, especially if we have the BTC buy limit orders kick off, or people are taking profits on Shiba Inu. And if we still haven't heard anything and things still seem positive with Zion Oil, there will be a lot of money that comes into the Zion Oil stock. And I did say that, they are going to need money to continue operations. Hopefully, maybe they'll get additional funds from the government, but they will have to sell off. And so people should be prepared for that. But it is going to give you opportunity to make money and then invest back in. But all that remains to be seen. And I know there is a lot of people that are invested in Zion Oil, and they're also doing a lot of the prophetic stocks and cryptos and BTC limited orders, AMC. And I guarantee that a lot of people will be pouring money into this. And so the shorts themselves, in a way, are really playing with fire at this point, especially if they have a lot of fails to deliver still out there, because we don't know the fails to deliver. I mean, the fails to deliver for April could be 10, 15 million, or even more. We have no idea. And so with the potential release of good news plus fails to delivers that have not covered, it could be a nightmare for them. So the shorts better be very careful. And if I was a shorter, I would be getting out of Zion Oil and focus on a different stock. So that is all that I have for today, folks. So I thank you for listening. And now I'm going to go ahead and share Coach Financial channel on Zion Oil and Gas.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to go over a recently released article on tabstocks.com regarding Zion Oil and Gas. It talks about Zion Oil and Gas, ZNOG, urgent stock trading update. So again, these articles you're going to have to kind of take with a grain of salt because these are highly speculative, all just straight up opinionated type articles. Okay, there's no factual information or anything because the company hasn't released any type of information. So the main thing what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to browse through this article only because it was released 24 hours ago, and this is kind of the most up-to-date article, but it's actually going to link us to another article that they wrote where they actually have questions that they are gathering from private investors to ask at the annual shareholder meeting. So I'm assuming these people are going to try to attend and ask some questions. So I'm going to go over those as well. Some are kind of silly, okay, but some are actually good questions that you might see one and be like, hey, wait a minute, I kind of wanted to ask that question. So we're going to kind of go through there. So this was 24 hours ago. It says, I'm on my lunch break and decided to write a brief update on my thoughts regarding the current ZNOG share price. And he goes on and talks a little bit about, the stock price for one, talking about how it went from 27 to 21 cents, and talking about, there's some people who loaded up down at about the 10 to 15 cent range, who's made a lot of their money back or maybe doubled up from there, which we've talked about for a while too, about how that was such a good double up play opportunity. And let's see, keep coming down here. Goes on to share his opinion, saying that basically the ones who buy at rock bottom and hold and sell some right at the top are going to make the most profits. As for the top, that's debatable, but I'm convinced Zion has encountered oil. Again, highly speculative, nothing released by the company yet. Therefore, for me, the top is a lot higher than what we see today. My guess is that private investors will see a $2 share price by the end of June 2022. But for sure, I think by the end of summer 2022, he thinks a lot of private investors are going to sell at about $1, which is probably possible. I would think that too. I would think 50 cents, you're going to see a pretty decent little profit taking opportunity, because it's kind of like a double up from where we are here, then $1, $1.50, $2. All about news from Zion and Oil and Gas Now. It says that's not news, we're all waiting on it. And it says my guess is that Zion Oil and Gas will be in relation to their permit to begin testing their MJ2 oil and gas well proper. I suspect this news will be released sometime in May, even later this week. I'm not so sure about that. They've probably set up their testing equipment by now, and all the pros from the USA, Canada, other countries have arrived on site. That's already has been happening, actually, from our knowledge. Let's see, have they discovered oil? He says he believes they discovered oil, but again, there's nothing that they've come out and said about that, right? So They talk about that, let's see, to prove oil reserves, to justify an oil field proper, more wells may very well be needed to drill. MJ2 may not go into production before at least another well is drilled. On the other hand, if the oil is as big in quantities as I believe, then the flow rates will be high, thus Zion will have no problems putting MJ2 into production. So yeah, so it's stuff that we've already known. They talked about, ZNOG oil pipeline, those oil wells that are producing a certain amount of barrels of oil per day would need some type of pipeline, so forth and all that. So if you want to read this, I'll link it in the description, but I'm not going to go through detail by detail. I do want to go to the questions that he posted. Apparently he has something where you could actually email him in questions, and like I said, it seems like or he or she, whoever's doing that, they're going to talk about, they're going to ask some questions at the annual shareholder meeting, but I'm going to go through these. So did Zion Oil and Gas drill sideways, horizontal drilling, and if so, how many directions? Will Zion Oil and Gas inform private investors on what is going on in the testing process? Does Zion Oil and Gas have a private value your private investors? If so, why don't you inform you about what is going on in the process? Private investors want ZNOG to install a 24-hour live feed on the site so they can view what's going on because they believe that they are losing trust in you. Will they be willing to do that? Zion Oil has promised to provide updates every 2 weeks, but you did not fulfill your promise. Why is this? And will you honor your promise? How long will the testing take to complete in total? Will Zion Oil and Gas give private investors updates during the testing process? When Zion Oil and Gas were drilling, at any point before you completed the drilling, did you encounter oil and gas? If so, what did you discover? Well, what are the depths? Okay. Why does John Brown email private investors that we see oil and oil soon, but we have not seen any oil and not received any news from Zion Oil and Gas about Zion Oil and Gas? So I'm going to address a couple of these now because just because I feel like it. So it says this one here about the live feed. You could ask it. I doubt they do that because I doubt that they want their workers feeling like a bunch of lab rats and us just like constantly staring at them and like, oh, why is this guy not working? Why are they not doing this? Blah, 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 blah. Pretty sure that's not going to happen, right? I don't know any other company that would, provide a 24-hour live feed on their workers just because you're invested in their company. So I highly doubt that. This here is a great question. Okay, they've talked about every 2 weeks, and what's the hold up on giving us some type of information? So that's a good question, I think. How long will the testing take to complete in total? If they're not done by the shareholder meeting, that's a really good question as well. Will they give us updates during the testing process? Obviously not, because that's not happening. So let's kind of keep going on. Why does John Brown use religion regarding oil exploration? Is John Brown a prophet of God? If Zion Oil and Gas really believes in the Bible, why do you lie and not fulfill your promises? Okay, you can't ask that during the shareholder meeting. Like, just kind of disregard all of that. So what is involved in the testing process that you are undertaking or plan to undertake? Well, again, I would think that they have a lot more information to share at the shareholder meeting, so we may not even have to ask that one. Are they planning to build a pipeline? This is a good question here. If they're planning to build a pipeline in connecting to Zion Oil and Gas's discovery. So I would think if they plan on doing this, they're going to actually tell you about that at the meeting. But if they don't, I think that's a pretty good question. Is Zion Oil and Gas planning to drill more wells? Good question. When do they plan to add the 800 million new shares? They're not going to tell you that for sure. Does Zion Oil and Gas plan to, well, they won't tell you that like now. They'll let you know when they do it, but I highly doubt they just come out and give you a date or something like that at the meeting. Does Zion Oil and Gas plan to return the stock to the NASDAQ or any other market? That's a good question there. I like that one there. Did Zion Oil and Gas discover oil but don't want to inform private investors? Come on now. What are the chances of Zion Oil and Gas declaring one or more wells to be commercial oil producers by the end of 2023? Fair question. Do they require funding to put did they require funding to put MJ1 and MJ2 into production? Well, yes. Okay, probably. Okay. Does the Israeli government have any bearing on restricting Zion Oil and Gas from declaring a well commercially viable and or declaring proven oil reserves? That's a pretty good question. Let's see, now that drilling of the MJ2 has been completed at a deeper level than MJ1, is the 3D data result still valid in terms of confirming oil at deeper levels, or does the MJ2 well confirm the 3D data to be true and that is not enough oil in the area for production from the MJ2 well? In 2021, the annual shareholder meeting, they said that they plan to drill another well after the MJ2. Is that still the case? If so, what's the location? Let's see, they can plan to conduct further 3D testing. Let's see, if Zion has good news to release, will you make it before market open? Probably won't tell you that. Let's see. No, actually, they've already kind of let you know that. They're not going to let you know, prior to letting the whole market know. They're just going to release it. You're not going to get some type of secret email, right? Do they plan to do a reverse split? Okay, that's not a terrible question. How much cash do they have on hand? I think that's a good question. Let's see. Can they be, if the MJ2 well can be an oil or gas producing well, how long after testing has been completed will it take them to start producing it on a daily basis? I think that's a good question. Are they in talks with oil companies who may want to take over or license or have license interest, including the current MJ1 or MJ2 site? Do they plan to take the company private? Bigger investors privy to inform information over smaller investors? No. Is Elon Musk in the process of buying or planning on buying Zion Oil and Gas shares that you are aware of? Will Zion Oil and Gas allow visits or tours to the drilling or oil production site in the future? Good question, but probably not, because how much we bugged them already. It's probably going to be crazy having people just show up and probably like tear the well down or something. No. Let's see. So further questions. Are they withholding the oil and gas discovery news from private investors due to political reasons? Is the red color blowout preventer pictured on the Zion Oil and Gas website really big because it will be used for gas production more than oil? Has Zion Oil and Gas discovered a lot of gas? So a lot of these questions that are here are going to probably be answered while they give the update at the meeting, right? If they don't do so prior. So I think my thing is just kind of looking ahead to those of you who are going to go and actually listen into the meeting. Some of these questions are, for one, a little silly. There's actually some really good ones. There's a lot of good questions, but there's some that we can't ask them, like, well, what's wrong? Do you not like us? Type thing. Is, these people are not gonna, sit there and take those type of questions serious. They're also not going to answer the same questions over and over. So, just if someone asks that question, just know that they'll give you an answer. And they're going to probably tell you, just like last year, we're not going to be repetitive. We're going to answer the question once and go from there. Okay. I did talk to Zion Oil and Gas 2 days ago, or maybe it was yesterday. And I asked them, it had to have been yesterday because it was Monday. I asked them, how long will it take to upload the annual shareholder meeting to rewatch? And they told me, based on past experience, usually within about 24 hours, they'll have it put up, sometimes less than that. Last year was actually less than that. A couple of hours later, it was already put up, and we were able to kind of go through and dissect it and all that good stuff. So this is a list of questions that apparently this guy has people emailing into him. I would, if you're going to attend it or watch it, I would look on these questions and see, like, hey, are there any questions, good questions, okay, that I haven't thought about asking, but I may want to ask, and then kind of pay attention while it goes on, is, that way you're not repetitive. So let's go ahead and take a look at the charts really quick, and let's see what they're telling us. Currently 1:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, and go from there. All right, guys, looking at Zion Oil and Gas, ticker symbol ZNOG, in my opinion, at a very, very crucial level right here. We seem to be holding support here at 22 cents. However, there's no volume coming in, okay, which is good for the selling side. Also, a little, I guess you can say a little concerning as far as no volume coming on the buying side yet. But as long as we can hold around right here and then maybe get some people coming pushing us back up, that would be a good sign. So this could be the first wave that, well, I guess second wave, because you have a good one wave here, a little pullback, another wave here, another pullback. So let's see further on there in the week if we can continue to move higher. I'd love to see us get to 30 to 35 by the end of the week somehow, whether it be by some type of email, from the company, even if it's like a smaller update, or, some type of insider transactions, anything. And if we can do that, and then on a pullback, kind of keep our support and hold our own, then that's setting us up for a pretty decent little move to the upside. So, all right, guys, that's all I got for you in this video. Let me know your comments below. Other than that, we'll catch you in the next one.